From the mountains in Dominica to the sandy shores of Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean region is known for its beauty and its natural resources. But the most precious and valuable of its resources are its people, especially its children. To help ensure the rights of all children are fulfilled, Eastern Caribbean countries have signed and ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. The convention addresses children's rights to survival, development, protection, and participation. Among the rights mentioned in the CRC are the right to health and education. And Eastern Caribbean governments have done well to provide for their children in these regards. A child born in the Eastern Caribbean will generally have access to a wide range of health services, will be immunized and live past the age of 5. Children also have access to free primary education, and the region continues on its way to achieving universal secondary education. But there are still some areas of concern. One is the lack of access by all children to an early childhood service that provides the necessary stimulation at this very young age. In addition, many early childhood centers do not cater to children with physical and mental disabilities. This is especially a concern in a region where 1.45% of children ages 0 to 14 years have some form of disability. At the primary level, there is the issue of whether the education system caters to the different developmental needs of both boys and girls. Another worrying trend is that some adolescents leave secondary school with the requisite academic qualifications, but lack the other skills to deal with the world of work, including interpersonal and problem-solving skills. Although some countries have sought to address the latter by having policies on life skills education, such as HFLE, more needs to be done in ensuring that this program is timetabled in all schools and that there are appropriately trained teachers to deliver the program so that all children can benefit. In the English-speaking Caribbean, AIDS is threatening to reverse many of this region's gains in health. Adolescents continue to be at risk because of their early initiation into sex, which is often forced. And also, some of their risky behaviors are being fueled by girls' inability to negotiate condom use and teens being embarrassed to purchase condoms. While countries have sought to address this issue through their various communication and educational programs, it is clear that more needs to be done to create a supportive environment to affect behavior change. In the Eastern Caribbean, school clubs, sporting groups, and national and international fora have given children and adolescents opportunities for participation. In addition, some schools in countries like St. Lucia have introduced development information school programs. But even in this area, more can still be done, such as having functioning students' councils in schools and providing the necessary administrative support. In keeping with the commitment made when they signed and ratified the CRC, Caribbean countries have worked on introducing laws and policies to protect children from harm. One commendable action is the Model Child Protection Bill that has been formulated in the OECS. Despite these efforts, the model bills haven't been adapted and incorporated, while social service agencies have evidence of an alarming trend of children and adolescents falling victim to sexual and physical abuse. A 2009 study on the perceptions and attitudes of child sexual abuse revealed that most of the abuse is committed by adult men known by the victims, and that most of the victims are girls. What worsened the situation is the fact that some countries lack laws that enforce mandatory reporting of sexual abuse, and there are lengthy delays before a case can be heard. There's also concern about the use of corporal punishment at the expense of alternative means of disciplining children. Some schools have sought to address this issue by agreeing to be part of the Child Friendly Schools program, which in this region is focusing on positive disciplinary practices. Further, at all levels of the education system, there are increasing complaints about interpersonal violence in schools. A study in Barbados found that 6 out of 10 students polled have been involved in a violent incident at school, 1 in 3 is worried about being hurt at school. These are all issues that need to be addressed. And from violence against children to children violating the law, there are concerns that children are being drawn into crime in a bid to escape poverty in a region where already approximately 56% of the region's poor are between 0 and 24 years. Selling and ultimately using illegal drugs are some of the concerns, and the issue of juveniles in conflict with the law is now an inescapable fact that must be tackled. Current punitive measures do not appear to be working, and restorative juvenile justice systems need to be considered, including diversion away from the court system. And now looming on the horizon is an old but re-emerging problem: migration. As the global financial situation worsens, parents, mainly unskilled laborers, will continue to migrate to other countries to seek greener pastures. In order to hide their immigration status, their children are often excluded from access to social services. Instead, they are put at risk of exploitation and child labor, hampering their current development and future well-being. Finally, one major threat to all the strides that have been made in improving the lives of children is natural hazards. The region is susceptible to floods and volcanic eruptions, earthquakes and hurricanes, which are expected to intensify with the ongoing climate change. Too often, children become invisible casualties of these events. Yet, in disaster preparedness and response plans, countries often don't take the needs of children into consideration. So where do we go from here? The nations of the Eastern Caribbean have committed themselves to addressing children's issues. But as we have shown, there's still an unfinished agenda for our children. To this end, we must ensure that our children have a firm foundation through quality early childhood education, that there is more investment in life skills education programs. Violence, child abuse, and other issues concerning the protected rights of children must be tackled head-on. Young people must have the chance to play a role in addressing and resolving issues that affect them. We must proactively consider the needs of children in our disaster preparedness and response plans. And finally, we must ensure that our national budgets, policies, legislation, and social safety nets are inclusive of the needs and rights of all children to break intergenerational cycles of poverty and social exclusion. UNICEF stands ready to work with governments and all other partners to address these issues. For the sake of the children, the time to act is now.